Comic books, whether you call them comics, bande dessinée, or even manga, have always fascinated me. With just a pen, an entire universe can be born, inspiring millions through a single story. That fascination sparked a dream inside me. On November 26, 2024, I released the first chapter of my comic, Beyond Oblivion, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. Everyone wanted a second chapter, but even a year later, I'm still working on it. Why? Because I need to uncover and fill in key pieces of my own story. It all began in my childhood. I grew up in a family with a special love for comics and anime. My only goal was to draw as beautifully as the images I saw in books and on TV. And of course, I had another brother who was far better at drawing. He was already making his own mini comic strips. I was constantly comparing myself to him, yearning to be as talented, and that desire pushed me to improve my art even more. I used to draw every single day, and creating comics was one of my favorite pastimes. I'd share my work with friends, even though most people didn't see drawing as a real career. My parents wanted me to choose a traditional path, and that's understandable. But deep down, throughout my school years, I knew I was meant to be a professional illustrator. Even if when I got to college, I went in a medicine school. Yeah, you heard it right. I spent 2 years studying medicine, and during that time, I stopped drawing. That gap left a void in me, a feeling that I was betraying who I truly was. Then one day, I picked up a pencil and paper. The moment I started drawing, it was crystal clear in my mind. I have to become an artist. In a spontaneous decision, I left it all behind and set out to meet my destiny. I had to relearn everything from scratch. I dove into mastering anatomy to create stylish characters, just like the ones drawn by the artist I admired. I started with a digital drawing tablet, focusing solely on Krita because it was accessible and intuitive. In other words, free. My days became a simple routine of watching tutorials on YouTube, eating, and drawing. It was a challenging period, especially since my family couldn't quite understand my motivations after I quit my studies and dedicated my life entirely to art, without a steady job, mind you. After a few months of dedicated practice, my grasp of anatomy improved tremendously. I mastered Andrew Lumi's methods thanks to Proco, and honed my digital art skills with guidance from David Revoix and digital painting school. I was finally ready to produce my own work. As I started posting my drawings online, people began reaching out with requests for commissions. That's when my journey as an illustrator truly began. I spent all of 2019 taking commissions and sharing my art online. I slowly built a small audience on Instagram. And with each piece, my confidence grew. I felt ready to take the next big step, creating my first real comic, Edji Steel. The story was simple. Thanks to teleportation technology, humans embarked on interdimensional journeys to explore the beyond and unlock the mysteries of life after death. But in trying to enter that realm, they awoke the wrath of ancient spirits who invaded the earth, leaving devastation in their wake. To survive, humanity built flying cities. Yes, I know, it's a bit cliched. In 2020, while everyone was confined at home, I published the comic online. The positive feedback was exhilarating. Yet I never finished the story because a new obsessive idea had taken hold. And then an unexpected opportunity arose. One day, while chatting with my best friend, he asked a question that sparked an explosion of ideas inside me. What would happen if the ancient gods returned? In that instant, my mind overflowed with inspiration. I began developing the Lost Gods, creating a rich lore around an ancient African legend that proclaims every 2,166 years, the temporal locks open. In ancient times, Africans gathered for a grand celebration to welcome the gods, offering tributes, a traditional passed down through the ages. However, following their last visit, tragic events unfolded on the continent. The gods had not come to their rescue during the dark times of slavery, and as a result, people lost faith and forgot their deities. Then, as if by magic, I stumbled upon a comic competition announcement. The winner's work would be published and showcased at the international book fairs in Frankfurt. That moment reawakened my childhood dream of becoming an international comic artist. This idea lit a fire in my soul. I had a simple yet profoundly philosophical plot. The story begins with the return of the gods, and our hero Ken, initiated into sacred traditions with the duty of preserving them, finds himself at the center of conflict. A group of people, resentful for the gods' inaction during the past tragedies, band together to eradicate them once and for all. Although I felt that my story was still missing key elements, I was confident enough to enter the competition. I made it all the way to the finals, only to lose and not even crack to the top 3. It was one of my deepest disappointments, as I had envisioned signing my books at the world's biggest comic festivals. But instead of giving up, I resolved to self-publish my comic. I continued accepting commissions while keeping that burning idea in the back of my mind. By 2023, I decided it was time to act. I returned to the Lost Gods project, determined to complete my world building. One evening, a thought struck me. What if the gods were seeking revenge against humanity for forgetting them, believing that today's society is utterly corrupt? To counter this, I created a brotherhood of warriors tasked with protecting people from evil, the Shemshu warriors. With special powers such as transforming into their totem animals, wielding Dao, the magical spells I invented, but which means medicine in Swahili. Yeah. I was ready to dive into the first chapter. I had so many ideas that I decided to expand the series into 3 volumes, renaming it Beyond Oblivion. But here's a disclaimer, guys. In this version, I didn't just change the names. I completely shifted the artistic direction. I created a darker universe intended for mature audiences, with scenes of raw brutality and even some nudity. Apologies for the little ones. Sorry. The first chapter opens with mysterious disappearance under very unsettling circumstances in Kigali. Now, let me introduce the main characters. First, there's Ken, a computer science student living a normal life, though he comes from a powerful family of Shemshu warriors. He chose to leave that world behind in search of normalcy. Then there's Tarek, Ken's cousin, who dreams of reclaiming the family legacy and becoming as powerful as their grandfather. In this chapter, Tarek journeys to Kigali to reunite with Ken at a conference organized by a spiritual guru known as The Voice. A gathering where inexplicably Shamshu warriors are meeting their demise. Tarek's mission is to unmask this enigmatic guru. After 4 grueling months, I finally completed the first chapter, a 24-page labor of love. Drawing it was both a challenging and deeply rewarding experience. Holding my work in my hands filled me with an incredible sense of pride. For the first time, I truly felt worthy of calling myself a comic artist, even though a bit of imposter syndrome still lingers. Then came launch day. It was amazing to see so many people come out to support my work after all the time and passion I'd poured into it. Everyone was asking for a second chapter. It was like a dream come true. But then I hit a snag. An overwhelming art block set it in. Right after the launch, I realized something crucial. Books don't sell themselves. You must promote them every single day. On top of that, there were bills to pay. Between my commissions and the reality of declining sales, I became overwhelmed. I was juggling so much, advancing my career, managing my personal life, and finishing my studies in creative design. Yes, I did go to school, believe it or not. Writing my research dissertation did help either. And soon, I lost all my inspiration. Naturally, I had to shift my focus to finishing my studies first. Once that was done, I felt free again and returned to Beyond Oblivion. I dove into countless YouTube videos about myths, and suddenly everything clicked. My new power system was ready. Initially, I knew that the warriors could transform into their totem animals and control spirits, but I wasn't sure who could do what and under which conditions. To make the battles engaging, I need to set clear rules and establish a real balance of power. So, I created 3 types of Shamshu warriors. 1. The Metamorphs, those who can transform into their totem animals. This ability is tied to a clan, passed down only to the firstborn of families sharing the same totem. 2. The Spirit Masters, those capable of controlling spirits. The Baraka, a rare minority who possess both abilities. Baraka means blessing in Swahili. And they are the most powerful of all, destined to become the Mwami, which means king in Swahili, the title given to the leader of the Shamshu warriors. It took me 17 pages just to lay out this system clearly. With my power system finally in place, I was ready to continue my series. Now that I'm completely free, I refuse to have any regret in my life. That is why I'm fully committed to pursuing my dream of becoming a comic artist. And maybe one day, seeing my comic adapted into an animated film, which would be absolutely incredible. I'm currently working on the second chapter, which will be finished soon, and I promise to share every step of the process with you here. I don't set any limits for myself. I just want to tell stories. I'm deeply passionate about films and anime and comics. I believe I have so much to share with the world. My dream is to become a successful comic artist and someday even create my own animated feature as my idols. If you'd like to support me on this journey to become the artist I've always dreamed of being, please subscribe to this channel. I plan to document all my adventures as an independent artist as I work on producing 3 volumes of Beyond Oblivion. And with your help, I can make this my full-time project. See you soon.